Hey everyone, welcome back to Guitar Talk. It is me, Dan, back with another review video. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to. Roll that intro! Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today I am checking out this JOYO Jam Buddy 2 pedal. The guys over at JOYO sent this over to me and said, hey, do you want to do a review of this? And they know the deal. They know that I do honest reviews. So if it's good, I will tell you it's good. If it is bad, I will tell you it's bad. So let's hope for their sake that it is indeed good. So briefly going over what this is, what it's for, some of the features and all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of like an all-in-one pedal platform practice solution. So you can have it on your desktop, on the floor, wherever. You've got some amp modeling built in, channels that you can switch between, save different presets to. You've got a few effects on there. You've got Bluetooth connectivity, so you can connect something like your phone to it or an iPad and play music through it. You've got a drum machine, a looper as well. So it's a great tool for home practice. And on top of that, you've got built-in speakers, so you don't have to plug this into any external amplifier, headphones, or anything like that. You can play it all through the speakers which are on the unit itself. And then if that's not enough, it's got an internal battery, so you can charge it up with a USB-C cable, and you can just take it anywhere on the fly without having to plug it into a power source, and you get a good few hours of practice out of it. Now, the speakers on here sound really good. There's no point me trying to mic it up and play it through to you so you can listen to it on headphones or on a TV, because you won't get a sense of what it sounds like. But what I will do is we'll head over to the desk over there, I'll plug it into my interface, and we'll get the sounds from this running through so you can kind of hear directly what the tones sound like on this unit. So let's head over there. Okay, so I'm over here at the corner of the desk so I can fit the phone tripod on and the unit and all that kind of stuff. So to take you through what I'm using today, I'm using my PJD St. John Elite that's got a bare knuckle VH2 in the bridge and a cream tea P90 in the neck, so good range of tones there. That is then being plugged into the Jam Buddy 2, which is then going out to my interface, which is being recorded with Studio One so that you guys can hear the tones that are being played. So let's flick this on and we will navigate as best as we can the features of this pedal. So you can see straight away we've got a little screen on here. I think this is an upgrade from the Jam Buddy 1 where you've got a little digital display here so you can see exactly what you are playing with. So straight away 65 black Vib, so Fender vibrato style amp, and so straight away some really nice jangly tones. Now we've got a few different controls on here, so you can see we've got a bass, middle, treble, gain control, amp selection, and then a few different effects here as well as output volumes. Now, I'm not going to take you through the Bluetooth connectivity, but essentially you flick this switch, it turns on Bluetooth connectivity, and you can play music, which then comes out of these speakers. So that's all pretty self-explanatory. Now, these do double up, so if you push them down, you start getting other effects as well. So you can see I push that, we get a selection type for different types of reverb. We've got two on there, church and hall. I quite like the sound of church, so let's hit that and then put some reverb on. And then if we want to add some delay, we can. We've got digital and analog. So let's put some analog delay on. And modulation, we've got chorus, vibrato, flanger, phaser, tremolo. Let's go for some good old-fashioned chorus. And it's cool that you can have all three of those at the same time. Now in the UK, these are, I think, because they're not out yet, but I've seen a sneaky little listing on Thomann that says something like £79. So these are under £100 in the UK. So straight away, the fact we've got really nice clean tone, 3 cool sounding effects there. Let's go back into, okay, so if we push that down, then we can select between the different controls. So basic effects, but effects nonetheless. So let's have a look at the tremolo effect. That's really cool. Right, let's turn that off. I think the only way to turn these off is just to turn it all down to 0%. So get rid of the modulation. We'll keep the delay and reverb just to sweeten it up and make it sound nice for you guys. Maybe a little bit less delay. And let's have a look at the amps. So we can select different amps and you can see we've got the 65 essentially Fender vibrato. We've got that plus what looks like a tube screamer, a JCM 800 on the low input, and then with tube screamer on the high input, and then with a tube, we can see the pattern here, so you get tube screamer on there as well. Dual rectifier, 5153 EL34 model, and the 6L6 model as well. So let's take a listen to that. That is fat sounding, and that's so on top of that we can okay, yeah, that borders on ridiculous. That's fantastic. Right, let's get off that. That's too much fun. So let's go back to the start, and there is also the Black Noir amp on there as well. Super clean sounding, and then if we hit that button, you can see we've got a few different controls on there for the amp itself. So we've got an active EQ on top of the EQ that's on the pedal itself. Let's go out of that, and we can see we've got a tuner. Apologies, I wasn't very in tune. There we go, I fixed it. And then if we push this button here, we've got a pretty sort of old school sounding drum loop. So let's have a little look at what we've got in there. So just kind of like a basic bunch of drum patterns with a basic drum sound that you can jam with, which I guess is in the name, Jam Buddy 2. So if you want to jam out some riffs and some ideas and just kind of go through some stuff, then that is a great practice tool. I have to say already, for under £100, this seems like it's packed with lots of really cool features. Just the amp sounds by themselves, which having those kind of tones on tap to just jam around with, that's what we want. To be able to jam with those and through a little speaker on the road, at home, in your living room, in the kitchen, at the office, wherever, to be able to jam with those tones through that speaker for under £100 is, that's mind-blowingly good. On top of all that stuff as well, so we've got the looper. That's going to be hard for me to demo with this on the desk because obviously I've got to push those two down at the same time by those two buttons to activate the looper, and I can't do that in place, so the loop would be horrible at a time. But there is a 30-second looper on here. You can also, so you see here, we can switch between different channels. So we've got clean and overdrive, and then in the drive mode, we can switch between what kind of drive we want, rhythm or lead. So we could set this up. And this is where I think the value for this really comes in. So obviously you can use this as a practice tool with different channels on there, but the fact that you can plug this straight out into an interface means you can also plug it into a PA system. So if you were taking this out live and you didn't want to use a normal amp and you wanted to charge this up, I guess have a USB-C plugged in there, which again, this is running on a chargeable battery, so it's not plugged into any kind of power source. This is just all running off a battery. So if you wanted to take this to a gig, a jam night, or an open mic, anything like that, a band practice, and just plug straight into a PA system, then you could do something like set this up. So let's set up a clean tone. And we'll go back to that Fender style tone, and we've got a little bit of reverb on there, which is all good. Got a little bit of delay. Learning my way around this. So you could say, right, that is my clean tone. And then we can hit save and save again. And now that's saved to that channel. And then for a drive channel, we could say, right, We want the JCM 800. And we want it a little bit louder. And we want, again, a little bit of reverb on there. And a little bit of delay. Maybe not so much delay. We can hit save, save that. Maybe too much on there, I wasn't on my bridge pickup before. So we can tweak these tones. And then in the drive mode, we want a lead boost. We can dial in another amp again. Say something like the 5150 for a lead tone. And have we got any delay on there? Bit of delay. Because it's lead, we might want to boost the volume a little bit. And as well, we can tighten it up for live use, where we can put a bit of low cut on there so we can get rid of some of the rumbliness. And we can, now this is going to seem extreme to some people. So typically guitar tones or guitar speakers don't have, they roll off massively after about 5.5, 6K. So if we put a filter on there to take out some of that really harsh high end, around there, then that will start to taper off after that, after it hits that frequency. And because it is a lead tone, maybe you want to add a little mid boost. Hit save. And now you can see, so for clean, we are on the Fender sound. Drive, Marshall. Maybe a bit more gain. And then for our lead tone, over to the over to the 5153 style amp. Now, so that gives 3 very usable tones that you can then just take out and gig if you wanted to. So you could have this, like, I mean, to me, by the time you put that into a PA system and dial it in, when it's in a band mix, that's going to sound great. So you could take this out as your main gigging rig, is the reality of it these days. And that's under, from what I can see anyway, from the Thomann listing, that is under £100, and you could take that out as your gigging rig for 3 basic tones. Or you could have it in your bag as a backup. So if something like, I use the Fractal FM9 over there, if something happened to that and the tones went down, I could have these saved on here to get me for a night. So rather than go, oh, Fractal's gone, gig's over, I could just plug this in and the gig can continue with some great quality tones. That is unbelievable value for money. Construction wise, this is like a hard plastic kind of construction. So would it be nice to see metal? Yeah, it would, but obviously it's under £100. Let's run through what I normally run through in these review videos. So obviously we've gone through the features, we know what it does. Sounds and tones, you've heard for yourself, you can get some really good quality sounds out of it. Build quality, I think it is perfectly rugged. It feels very sturdy. Yes, metal would be good, but this hard plastic is perfectly good enough. Setup and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I've not read the instructions and you can see how easy I'm navigating around this to make it work. That is all really, really good. Value for money, under £100. The fact that you don't even need to plug this into a speaker or anything. It's got the built-in speakers on here, which, as I said, they sound great. They're not like the loudest thing in the world, but for what you get, these sound really good. But there's no point in me trying to record it and, like, you know, put a little mic in front of it. It's an FR speaker anyway. Just know that these speakers sound really, really cool. So value for money wise, at under £100, I cannot fault this at all. Is there anything that I don't like about the pedal? As I said, metal construction would be cool, but it would push the price up. Better drum samples, like a more modern drum sound, would be really good, because they do sound like the kind of drum sound you would get on a Zoom 505 in the early 2000s or a Zoom 707. So some more modern sounding drums loaded in there would be really good. But for what they are for, or for what it's intended for, a practice tool, a jam tool and all that, they suffice perfectly fine. This is a really cool unit. I would have loads of uses for this, for home practice, for taking out to little jam nights where I don't want to take my big FM9, for taking to a gig as a backup. There are loads of uses for this pedal. So this is definitely something relatively inexpensive that I think is worth picking up and just having around as a cool tool for a number of different uses. There we go. That is the JOYO Jam Buddy 2. I hope that's been useful. I hope it showed off some of the features of what it can do with my little phone camera, looking down at it and all that kind of stuff. Very easy to navigate around. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is this something that interests you guys? Because this is something that I didn't even realize I needed until I plugged it in and actually jammed with it and had a go on it. And, you know, again, the fact that it's battery powered and you don't even need to plug it into an external power supply when you take it out is, again, a very, very cool feature. That is an honest review, as honest as I can be about this pedal. And I say that because obviously I pride myself on doing honest reviews and saying if something is good or if something is bad. And this is genuinely very, very good. I am excited to have more of a play on this. There's probably features that I haven't even touched on it yet. But as I say, I hope that's been helpful. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.